Okay, I think I'm on. So, Nate, my man, how you doing, bud? We got Nate here on the screen. Nate is learning autumn leaves and learn to take advice, and those are two beautiful things. I love to comment on one of Nate's previous videos, and his video here is reacting to that and trying to learn some things, to do some new things in some new ways on the same old tune, and I think that's wonderful. Thanks for the shout out, and thanks for taking the comment. I think in the spirit of which it was intended, which is just try to be helpful and appreciate you learning this great art, this great fun thing that we do, which is playing the saxophone, playing jazz, whatever, man. It's awesome. So, hello from across the pond. I thought I would leave a reaction video, and not like I don't want to pick on anything you're doing. But after watching what you did and how you took the advice, I thought it might be even more helpful instead of really like leaving this gigantic comment on your video. If I made a video and just show you kind of some things that I do when I want to learn a standard, like what you're doing right now. So take you through some steps and maybe tell you like why I or other people do what we do when we're trying to learn the tune. So I feel like the first instinct is like, let's pick this up, right? Let's play some notes on the horn, man. And that's generally maybe not the best thing, I think. So let me just go through what you're doing here, and then we'll jump over to like the steps. So let's just take a peek here. All right, so a lot of good things happening here. We're using our ears. We're trying to figure out the melody. We're trying to play in time with the backing track, and we're trying to play in a different key than maybe one in which we initially learned the tune. And I think right away I can hear that you're not quite sure the specific manner in which to do that. And so what you're doing is trial and error, and which is fantastic. And I think that's a really valuable thing that you should do a lot. You should listen to things and you should just try to play them, and like let your ears be the guide to your fingers and your sound, your articulation, everything else. In this specific case, it's maybe not the most direct way to do it, and certainly not on a backing track where somebody else isn't playing the sound, because then you don't have that sound to react to. You don't have that sound to line up with. You just have like the changes, but it's empty space outside of that. And so I would say one of the first things that we could do, if we let's just see if I can figure out how to use this whole thing over here. I would just head on over to good old Spotify, and I would find some examples of some people playing the thing. So if we just look up Autumn Leaves, the first one we're going to find here, this particular recording is kind of I don't want to say it's the seminal work in terms of how the song should go, because I think that's actually either Nat King Cole or the Frank Sinatra version of it. The Frank Sinatra version of it, you should listen to people sing it with the words if it's got words. So like Ella Fitzgerald, Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, people like that are just really good to listen to for stuff like this. But let's just play this. Take that, and then you can learn to play along with Miles. You can learn to play along with Cannonball Adderley. You can learn to play along with my man back here on the poster, Sonny Rollins. So you can take those things and you can use that to learn to play the head to some different tracks in a specific key. Then, when you kind of got how it sounds and you've got an ear idea of what you're trying to do, to your point of like you kept searching for like what is the real head, what is the real melody. Let the records tell you that. That's first thing. Next, you're going to go find probably a copy online of the lead sheet, right? And then what I like to do is to take it into MuseScore. And I actually just rewrite the whole thing. So this isn't even the right key, which doesn't really matter. But, you know, I take it in here. You could do this pen and paper if you want, or pencil really. But MuseScore is free. It's pretty easy to learn. And I just come in here and I put the head into MuseScore so that I can monkey with it myself. A lot of times those lead sheets are blurry and it's photocopy. Back when I was in college, we bought the real book and it was like we had this thick thing. And you had to like know the guy in the back of the music store. He was like, "Don't tell anybody I gave you this." But now that it's all online, all the copyrights have expired, so you can just find it. But I come in here and I rewrite the whole thing because it helps me to go through note by note, you know, and just say what is the real rhythm that I am trying to play, what are the real chord changes that I'm trying to hit, right? And then I could play the whole thing with the playback on the MIDI. And you can just kind of get the sense of every little note and everything else. So the thing that I would then mainly concentrate on when I'm learning the tune, you're just kind of feeling it out randomly. But what you want to do is paint by numbers, okay? So this is in the key of G minor here, okay? Though it starts on a C minor 7, it's in the key of G minor. That's the chord we get to right here. Oops, what is going on with that? Oh, I'm in notation mode, that's why. So when we get to this bar, we've reached the 1 chord, okay? And this is a 2, 5, 1, G minor. So we are in G minor, but we start going into the relative major, which is B flat 7. If you don't know what any of that means, like, don't worry about that yet. But let's just worry about the what that means. So we're in G minor, so we start 1, 2, 3, and then 6, which in the key of G minor is an E flat, instead of a E natural, which would be in G major. So we go, okay. And you can go through and you can actually write underneath these in MuseScore on a piece of paper or whatever, you can write the chord tones, like in the key. And then you get to stuff like that, and that's good to do. Like, it's a good mental exercise. Just write down every single note when you're starting to do this and say, what number 1 through 7 is this? But then you have like a sharp 6 and a sharp 7 here. This E natural and F sharp here are sharp 6 and sharp 7 respectively. And you can write that down, but at a certain point it stops being useful going like note by note by note. So your next step after that is to start chunking the melody together. So like in my head when I play this, I don't worry about the A and the B flat on the lead-ins. I don't worry about the G and the A here. I don't worry about these. I just care about like where did I start and where do I finish, and my ears and my fingers will fill in the rest, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And then like at the end, when do I do the whole big finish thing or the big swoop on the F7 there? That thing. And then I pretty much got it because it's mostly scale-wise from there for the next couple measures. Like that all kind of lays in the fingers pretty good, and then you just got to learn the end, which is 1 4 3 2 3 2 1. And then so once you start chunking it out like that and sort of aggregating patterns together, and then on this one in particular, what your brains will find really useful is that you're in the minor scale through all of this, but here you're playing the first three notes of the diatonically of the 5 chord, so of the D7 up to the 3 of the 1 chord. So just recognizing those patterns and thinking of them that way instead of thinking like 5 sharp 6 sharp 7 3. You're just thinking up for the 5 chord, whatever key I'm in, I'm playing the shape of 7 1 2 3. So let's say it's a B7. Or sorry. I'm squeaking too. But 7 1 2 3. You could do that all day because you know that pattern, and you start putting them together like that. Then it sticks in your brain as a unit, you know, and the finger feel starts to be there, and you start to have to think about it less. Then let's take it to the natural key. The concert key of this on the record is E minor. Okay, so then I don't have to think about the individual notes, and I don't have to try to look for them. I just go 1 2 3 6 in E minor. 7 up to the 5. And then that same 6 up to the 4. And then 1 2 3 of the 5 chord, which is again that B. Okay, so then you start to do that, and it's hard at first, but then you progress through all 12 keys with that, and all of a sudden, as you go through psychologically, what happens is that as you go through the keys, you start to learn it faster and faster in each key because the patterns start to kind of lock into your brain, right? So, so getting onto that, what do I do with all 12 keys? You were using the Aebersold, and I will just like kind of bluntly say that like it was way too fast for you, man. Like that thing was burning, it was kicking your ass. Just don't use that. So we actually I can leave this on, but here's where we pick up tonal energy. Tonal energy, if you don't have it, it's just a lifesaver of an app. It's a tuning app. You use it for intonation exercises, metronome, analysis, all kinds of stuff. But it's really a little Swiss Army knife of utility stuff that every horn player needs. But it's just, I've got it on the metronome, and let's see if this is, it's a little slow for my liking, so I'll just like dial it up to maybe, I don't know, 112. Let's try that. Great, and I could do every other beat, or I could do 2/4 like you would hit the hi hat in a band, but we'll just do every chord note. E minor. Somewhere there or slower is like totally fine for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Take as many breaths as you want. Don't worry about the phrasing. Don't worry about sounding good. I mean, pay attention to your tone, obviously, but and try to play it as tuned as you can. But like, use that, and then you can bump up the metronome as you're comfortable. And I would say to go through, maybe just do circle of fourths to start with as you go through the keys. There's other ways you can do it. But so like C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, C, D flat, whatever. So just, whatever you're on, if you're on C, think, what is this the 5 of? So 5 of F. Go to F. What is F the 5 of? B flat. Just go around the horn, just do it all the way around. Let's see if you can get through every key. And if you're making mistakes, slow the metronome down. That should be your internal barometer. If I'm making more than 1 or 2 mistakes as I go, maybe I need to slow it down. Or maybe 1 or 2 is severe. Julius Baker was the first chair flute for the New York Philharmonic Orchestra for, I don't know, many decades. And he's widely considered to be, during his life, one of the greatest maybe flute player on the planet. He was amazing. And somebody went to his house for a lesson, and they said, Maestro, I heard you playing the Firebird Suite, but you were playing it at quarter note equals 60. And in real life, it's quarter note equals 350 or something like that. And they were like, I don't understand why you're playing it so slow. And he said, oh, well, if I never make a mistake, I never make a mistake. Oh, okay, well, cool. We're not all that dedicated, but that was his philosophy on it. And I just is a general rule of thumb. You can use that thought, that mindset is am I playing this too fast? Well, am I making too many mistakes? Yeah, okay, then I'm playing it too fast, right? Anyway, so, from there, I would say also the I kind of mentioned this in my big comment that you gave me a shout out. Again, thanks for the shout out. Love the shout out, man. But playing through the arpeggiation of the changes. First of all, just pick a pattern. And the easy one is just the straight up arpeggio from the 1st to the 9th and down for a full note, like a full bar. So right here you would go first 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and back down to 3. If it's a like these, you would not do that. You would do 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 5, 7 and leave it there. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, blah blah blah. So so for this, sorry. Apparently I need to practice it too. But go through it like that, obviously slower. And this is, again, chunking. You could see I've written in, because that's what I was doing at the time. Mentally, I needed to write down, what number, chord, and everything are these. I mostly did as, a writing it out exercise. But then you start to chunk it out and go, okay, this is 2, 5, 1, 4 of the relative major of the key I'm in. Now let me do that slower. And the other way around. We're in G minor. The relative major is always the 3rd. So G, A, B flat. Okay? Whatever the 3rd is when you play the minor scale, that's your major. So B flat, major 7, boom, there it is. It just jumps out, right? And then if you back up from here, well, that's just 2, 5, 1. And if you're not seeing 2, 5, 1s all over jazz standards, you're not looking, because they're everywhere. And then the next chord is just the 4 of that relative minor key. So. And then we just play the 4. And it happens to be sort of a tritone away from that A flat, or A half diminished 7, which is the minor 2 to the 5 to the 1 in the minor key. Okay, so these 3 bars, the half diminished looks intimidating, but is just always going to be the 2 chord in a minor key is always a half diminished. That's what it always is. So 2, 5, 1. Okay, so we got 2, 5, 1 with a 4, a 2, 5, 1. Repeat, and then we go back to the 2, 5, 1 of the minor key, Then we 2, 5, 1 in the major key, which we already did in the beginning. And then we do something fun, which is 2, 5, 1, and then we step down chromatically. I don't know why I have that written as A F flat. It's E7. And then the 4. Remember that 4 chord that we did up here? The 4 of the major. That's where we end up. And then step down a half step to the 5. And then 1. So there's a couple ways that you can analyze these 3 bars, right? 3, 4 bars right here. But overall, again, you want to be thinking in chunks as much as possible. And so really it's one chunk at the beginning, another chunk right here. So there's 2 chunks in the first 8 bars. And then we repeat one of those chunks and repeat the other one of those chunks. And then we do this fun thing, walk down to this thing at the end. So really the last 8 bars is the only thing that is in a 2, 5, 1 in the whole piece. So that's how you want to be thinking about chord changes. You want to be arpeggiating over them. If you got a keyboard, play it on keyboard. Got one right there. It costs like $110. I don't need it to be fancy. I just need something to like bang chord changes on. Yeah. As you do this, the last thing that I would do, the absolutely last thing, is to pull up something like an iReal Pro or the Aebersold or whatever and play it with a backing track. I would have done all of this in all 12 keys, memorized in my head at tempos that are realistic, be able to play the head at a drop of a hat. This happened to me last night. I was at a club, I was sitting in, and the other horn player is like, no, let's not E minor, let's do it in G. And he just, yes, and the piano player, of course, is like, oh yeah, cool. And the guy looked at me and he thought I was gonna balk, and I was like, nah, it's cool, I'm good, man. I got it in G. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go. So being able to do this stuff on the fly mentally is the most important thing. With your brain, the fingers will take care of themselves. If you can do it with your head. So that's how I practice standards. And I don't know, man. I hope it helps. It's great to see someone learn and applaud the effort. And I know how much joy this brings me, and I hope it does you. And hope it helps. Have a great day. Have a great night, wherever you are.